Hello, everybody. Welcome to Studio Time. I'm Jason Meyer, and once again we moved the studio around just a bit in between shows today. So slowly but surely we're going to get this all working. So today what I'm going to do is I've got a charcoal study and a color study of a painting that I've been thinking about and I'd like to work on. So we're going to start the day at the palette, and again, I'm going to explore some color combinations. I'm going to again look for a orange, green, purple scheme. And with the colors I have, I'm just going to play around and see what they will do. Not unlike I think the day before yesterday. And then if there's time, depending on how long that takes, I'm going to come up to the painting here. It's basically a blank canvas. It's an old study that was sanded, and then I put a layer of white over it. So it's brand new, ready to go. It still needs to be what? Still needs to be stained. So if I get there, I'm going to figure out my size and placement and maybe my lay-in as I stain the canvas. But we'll see if we get there today. Okay, how's that sound to you guys? That's all right with you? If so, why don't we just get started? All right, like I said, let's head over to the palette and let's talk a little bit about what's going on here. So these came from a reference image of my uncle's property in Texas, place he has on a lake out there, and it was a sunset. He's quite a good photographer, so um, he'll show me these things through the seasons, and it's very inspiring, and I've been thinking about a scene like this. So with his photographs and then my ideas, we're going to make a painting. And I think I've decided that I like the horizontal um, or the landscape over the portrait format, simply because we've got more room to get in here and what I think is a very interesting tree that's going to wrap around with its branches. And then there's going to be trees in the background that reach up, and those are going to kind of kiss as those dry branches gray out. And then here there's some hardscape, some stone hardscape with a couple of columns at the head of a staircase, rock staircase, with some lights down there. And I thought it would be very interesting if this is sunset here with an orange sky with some gray clouds in here. So we're going to have green sunset, and then this is going to be warm. Our oranges come around. Purple will be back through the background and our gray. And then if we have some orange light here, some incandescent light versus the sunset light, I thought that would be really good. So little pops of light here, just a hint of it down there. And then let's save it for the sky, right? So that we are almost walking down and then through across the lake, and then we're drawn up to the sky, and it's all framed with this beautiful dark. So that's the idea. Hope that makes sense. And then this was what I used as just a little study to check the ideas out. And I like the general idea, but again, I'm going to explore here with some colors and see if I can't come up with some color harmonies that I'm not real happy about. And a couple of things I'm going to be looking for in those colors am I going to get the sunset orange? And that doesn't necessarily mean a bright cadmium orange, right? It's going to be mostly grayed out there. And then if we're wanting to concentrate here too, we're going to try to quiet this part down. And we can do that with soft edges and things of that sort. So those are the thoughts. I'm going to look for a green that can be that summer green after the light has gone down, right? In other words, it's not direct sunlight. There's going to be a bit of a blue to it, a bit of blue. Okay, and then of course the purple is just purely the supporting role. The green's really a supporting role too, but it's got a little bit more of a play in it than what? Than the purple. All right, Susan's here. Hey, Susan, you've been paint. Excellent. You guys are gonna be tired come January. I like that. You're gonna be tired and you're gonna have a bunch of paintings. That's awesome. All right, so we're gonna pick out the color scheme here. We've been talking about the composition and the basic ideas. And so with that, let's explore some of our colors and decide what we want to use. And I don't have my fourth camera set up. Like I said, I switched between shows today, so it was a little bit of a rush. Didn't quite get it finished, but let's see, I want to keep this handy. Keep this real handy. And the other thing I need to know is, what do you guys see? Well, you see my back right now. That's no good. There we go. Where's the edge? We got to be careful here because we'll get glare of the glass. There we go. There we go. Oh. Yeah, there's that light I had to get rid. Oh, it's got glare on it. That's why it was so far over, so we didn't have that glare. All right, anyway. Here we go, and let's see what we have here. So this is going to be different than the one I've been working on the last 2 days because the orange in that was quite a bit quieter. So I think I'm going to have to pump things up a little bit. Again, I don't think I'm going to be going cadmium orange or anything like that. I could be wrong, who knows? But let us see. And then for our greens, what will we be going for? We have Viridian. You know, that's a really like bright summertime sunshine green, but I'm just wondering how that might cool off with some purple, if that wouldn't come into a real nice shadow color. Maybe, maybe, maybe. So like the olive green's going to be really warm. That's a warmer gray green, and we're wanting kind of a cooler, not bright, but um, lit-ish. Lit-ish. Is that a word? If I say it, does it make it a word? Oh man, all these questions just gnawing at me. All right, purple. Where do other purple go? Oh yeah, the ultramarine. And then I think umber's a nice thing to have around. We look like we got a full tube of that. Why don't we get that going? All right, so orange up there. We've got some greens we're gonna play with. Um, yeah, and let's see, we need some white, maybe some gray, and some black. About out of that black, I think. All right. So let us see. I guess I should make up boundaries here so I know what you guys see. All right, so I'll stay above that and I'll stay inside that. Okay, there we go. And you guys didn't even see all that I put in there. All right. So we got lots of colors. I'm going to lay some out. I'm not going to be quite as organized as I was on, was it Tuesday that happened? Not going to be quite so organized, just for the sake of speed and time. If you kind of want a slower walk through there, you can head back and watch Tuesday's show. All right, so this is about that orange sunset. So let's start there. Let's start there. Little gray, white, and black. And again, you can't think about this, oh man, it's not just about this painting, it's about you learning colors, right? And not just learning, but exploring. And as I was saying this morning, beauty really is its own reward. Beauty is its own reward. So if you're really receiving it, just the mixing and the seeing of the color on the palette's enough, right? And enough, more than enough. It's more than you ever imagined once you're receiving it. Okay, so Cad Yellow Deep. Is that gonna make a sunset color? Well, right out of the tube, that's way too much. Way too much. But if we straight gray that out, wow, that's looking yummy. That's looking really yummy to me. And what I mean by yummy is just what a beautiful warm gray that is. And what else? So if we had some these different purples, I've got this one on hand, and I know that that's violet. These are both violet. What is this? A manganese violet and an ultramarine violet. And again, I'm not checking them out for their own sake, but I want to know, how do they play with my orange, right? How do these two colors interact? Wow, well, that certainly, again, feels like nice, warm, sunset-y direction to me. What if we push that a little bit stronger? Maybe let's see if we can leave that top half like that. And let this bottom half get a little deeper, just so that we can see what'll happen as we run through this. Mm. Ooh, look at that warm violet. Look at that. Mm. Tasty, tasty, tasty. Okay, but we must not prejudge. We have to wait and see this guy's audition. Okay, so this, what does that do? It cools it off a little more. You see how this is appearing slightly more green and slightly more orange? Well, almost immediately that tells me I'm probably going to go this way, because any green is going to be a really light gray green in the sky. But when I say sky, what do I mean? Up above the sunset, above the clouds. But that sunset's going to be that warmer. So with that, I think I'm going to just decide on that right here and now. If we're going to go with that, maybe I thought that was going to be way too much, but I'm pretty happy. What is what does that look like with black? And this is it's actually cad yellow deep, but it looks very orange. It's kind of on the lighter side of orange, almost like an orange lit up. Oh man, look at that. Mm, mm. Okay. Well, okay, I kind of want to try something here. And this is almost counterintuitive, right? Because again, our green is going to be subdued to our orange in this painting. How far down can we come? We can come about right there. Okay, again, this is that permanent green light. So when we darken that down, right, maybe let's just test it with straight up gray first. See, on a bright sunny day, I could see this being used all over the place. Or midday or something. But we don't have that kind of light. Oh, that's a nice gray now. That's a nice gray. Nice gray. What if we... So that's a really nice deep... That would be a beautiful kind of shadow green. And then I think that could be a really nice... And again, we could gray this down more, but that would be, I that's really close to sundown green when we harmonize it. Mm. Okay, so I guess the purple takes that red. I just wonder if it's going to take that red enough. Are we? So let's, before we just settle on that though, let's explore. I want to explore a little bit. Let's go with a cool green and see how that would work with that warm orange or cad yellow deep. So this is a Viridian. And what does that look like? Now Viridian, well, Viridian is generally a pretty weak color. Look at the difference of that between there and there. Right, so that's just probably way too cold for that green we're looking for. So is it possible? It's not that that wouldn't be beautiful, but is it going to be possible to warm this green up so that it does what it needs to do? Because you see how that's just too cool? And that's just too far away from that warm sunset. Okay, well, can we get it closer? Yeah, and do we like that? So, I mean, we could force this warm, but again, that's just kind of naturally there. So I am going to try this. Maybe I think this might be one of my first. Did we use this in other paintings? I don't think we did. This might be my first painting with, what is this? Permanent green light. Permanent green light, cad yellow deep, and manganese violet. I think I'm going to need it, but I might want a darker red, maybe a burnt umber. Yeah, I'm going to put a burnt umber with this. Okay, what do you guys think? Does that make sense? So about 20 minutes, and I've made a decision on some colors. So I'm gonna put some of these other colors away, and then what I'm gonna do is start kind of mixing up the colors of the painting and getting more into this specific painting and what the grass might be, what the trees might be, what the infinity, the far distance might be, what our brightest orange might be, all of that, and start playing around with that a little bit. Again, sometimes it's really fast, bang, 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 you got it. And sometimes it's not so much like that. All right, so what are we gonna do? Let's put out a little more of the manganese. Oops. Somebody was asking me the other day about buildup and the lids getting all you if you wipe that off every time, you'll be fine, but it's time consuming. Like sometimes even getting the freaking lid on is time consuming because it gets cross-threaded. There we go. Finally. And that took so long I forgot what I was doing. Let's see that Viridian. Let's get all that Viridian off of there because we're not going to use that. So let's not get this. This guy's not invited to the party. Sorry, bud. Nothing personal. It's just, you know, it's a different kind of party today. Different kind of party today. All right, that'll save me from getting in some trouble right there. Oops, I forgot to bring you guys back with me. You guys gonna have to yell at me and let me know. You have to yell at me when we're doing this. Okay, so after this morning's lesson, um, after this morning's lesson, um, hopefully it's going to make more sense how I work with these and what I do with them and why I do it. We'll see. We'll see. Okay. And a little more cad yellow deep, and we're off to the races. So how did the painting go today, Susan? Were you able to find that color on that cool side, or bend that gray to that cool side like we talked about? I'm assuming that's what you did if the painting was able to accept it. Might have been too sticky. They get that way sometimes. Okay, so what are we going to build that sunset around? Again, this isn't going to be on here. So that guy's got to be escorted off the property. Sorry, bud. But we got to keep this tight for harmony's sake. We got to keep it tight. For the sake of harmony, nothing personal. Okay, so I'm going to take just the tiniest bit, not too much. And then this will kind of warm this up and gray it down just a bit. Because there's really no need to have a big pile of what we've got here. It's just too much. Too much. All right, so we got a cadmium, and then we've got this a Vasari cadmium, which is very, it's 100% pigment, I think, with no filler. Some pure linseed oil, and then we got Gamblin, which isn't quite as pigmented, definitely not quite as pigmented as the Vasari, with a weaker color. So this is where that idea of measure of how much of one versus how much of the other can really come in. Okay. And the first value and color you see, I mean, depending on how much paint you have down, may not really be where that lands once it's mixed up thoroughly. So mix it up all the way through until it's kind of got an even tone before you judge it. And I'm pretty happy with that. Um, Again, I feel like we're going to need something to pull this, P-U-L-L, pull this more red. I just don't know that this is going to do it. A little burnt umber. A little burnt umber. Sorry, intensely pigmented. So there you go. This pigment's like intense. Natural brown earth. So some of these may have to have something besides the oil to keep it together. I don't know. But what would just burnt umber and our orange do? And again, you see how this takes it a bit green? A bit green. So that would be good for dyeing out, but and it might fit in there somewhere, but it's not going to take care of my need for warmth. My need for warmth. What am I going to do with that? Am I going to try this burnt sienna that we were introduced yesterday, or Terra Rosa is pretty? Let's see. Burnt sienna. Let's decide between burnt sienna and Terra Rosa. There's a little burnt. Not, yeah, burnt sienna. And there's that Terra Rosa. Yeah, so that Terra Rosa's got, feels like it's going to have a little more of that, what we're looking for. Mm, mm, that feels pretty sunsetty to me. Oh yeah. Yeah. I like that. So Terra Rosa for sure. How about this? Yeah, and so the burnt sienna is going a little more brown than the orange, than the Terra Rosa. Can you see that? So for that reason, I'm going to use the Terra Rosa. Again, let's just take that out so we don't pollute. Give a hoot, don't pollute. Okay. Can't pollute the harmony. Okay, so we've added Terra Rosa. And I think that's going to get me where we need to go. We got white, gray, black. Have there. What else do we need? I was thinking about that. No, I was thinking about yellow ochre, but I'm going to keep that out and I'm going to let that be there. That way it'll pull it warmer when we do this. Okay, so with that palette, let us begin. Uh-oh. So did Susan? Yes, sent it to you. So now you got my curiosity up. Now you got my curiosity up. Let's see. Well, you know what? I don't want to crash the machine. So I'm not going to start opening up too many things right now. But I will check that out later. I'm excited that you touched that. And I'm going to go through that in class tomorrow. I think that'll be helpful. And does that just my imagination or does that seem slightly out of focus there? Come on, you guys can tell me. So come on, Jason, you can do better than that. Where'd it go? Where'd it go? Yeah, is that it? Yeah, that's pretty good. That's better. All right. Like I said, we're all learning. I'm definitely learning. So what do we need for this painting? What do we need? What are the elements of this painting? Well, we've got a dark warm, right? So our orange is going to go from trees to sky, right? Maybe some work on the rock work, and of course the reflection of the sky. The green will be across here, across through here, and then that will skip until, believe it or not, this is going to be slightly green as it goes into there. Okay, so orange, green, and then the purple, you'll have little touches of it in here, but basically it's going to be back here and then up here because that purple is going to be kind of a receding color. The only reason we'll put it up here is if we need something to say forward so that that looks as far back as it is. Oops, did I wander off? Sorry, guys. An introvert streams just in my head. So green, orange, and then purple through the sky up there. Okay, so that's the big overall arching idea. And so we're going to look for some of these colors now and see what we can find. All right, how about just a little camera angle change to give you guys a break? That's pretty tight in there. Don't want you guys getting claustrophobic. Don't want you getting claustrophobic. Excuse me. A little sip there. All right, and this is where the burnt umber is going to come in. Let's see. Let's bring you back to the palette. You guys are supposed to be yelling at me when I do that. You got to yell really loud because it's hard to hear. It's hard to hear from over here. So let's give ourselves a little room here. There's our burnt umber. Still a good job. Let's move this maybe over here. And okay. So we're going to have some gray distance. So I'm just going to take all these grays that kind of these color piles that we have and put them here together. What kind of gray would you call that? Maybe a warm green, yellow gray? Maybe. What is this? What was this mixed up with? I think that's just orange and black, but I don't remember. I don't remember if that's another color, so we're going to abandon that for the sake of harmony. For the sake of harmony. Okay. So, why don't we put these guys down on the bottom edge here? There's our corner. There we go. And the gray. Okay, so what is our infinity color? Our infinity, our nothingness is going to be purple, right? But not a high chroma purple. No, sir. No, ma'am. But a really grayed off purple. Now, to make it a grayed off purple specific for this scene, what I'm going to do is just get the smallest touch of every other color. Black and white is gray, which we already have. So again, what that's going to do is it's going to give me harmony. And it may not look like much, but that's actually a big difference, right? And how it's going to affect how everything looks. That's a really big difference. So just that little bit of warmth in there. And we can always make it warmer. So if we called that infinity, and where's our brightest orange going to be? Now remember, it's not a test on how bright, just straight up bright the orange can be, because it needs to be like an orange sunset. Mm. There's just a certain amount of redness in those sunsets, isn't there? I mean, it depends on where you are and the conditions, right? Sunsets can just be about anything. But in my mind, I'm looking for that warmth. Now, that simply just looks too far away from that to me. It just looks too far away. So how would we get those closer? Well, make them more similar. How could we get them more similar? Well, we could just put some purple in there. And again, I can put that amount of purple because it's not as an intense of a pigment. It's a manufacturer that isn't as strongly pigmented as my cadmium here. So now that might work. But that gray now still looks, I don't know, man. I don't know. Looks too much. Looks too cool. Mm. Now that feels more like the infinity of a sunset. And it also looks like it's going to get along with that color much, much better. Okay, and again, none of this is settled, but we're starting with what we want and then relating the other pieces to that. So what would a forward tree look like then? Let's get our dark in here. Again, we don't really want any white in there, so we're going to do our best to avoid that. So that may be a tad bit dark, I don't know. And that was pretty strong. That seems too red. So if we added a bit of purple, and again, it kind of takes the heat out of it, but it's still pretty red. What if we added just a touch of our green? Ah, I don't know if you can see that, but it allows just such a little breath. Just bringing it a little bit closer, not giving us the cold shoulder. Yeah, and then so that's even going to be quieter up there. Should work as a nice dark, but you're going to have all this ambient light from the sky, so it's not too dark. And again, we're working here. Now, that doesn't seem sunset orange to me, but it seems powerful enough and it doesn't seem too out of whack from these other colors, right? Because I do want to leave these piles as, well, depending on which piles, but generally speaking, we're going to want to grade these piles down rather than um, spruce them up or make them brighter. So Susan says, I like the oranges you have from Cad Yellow medium better than the yellow, orange, red I got from dogs. Yeah, and that's part of the reason we want to explore too, because what are you after? And again, the only way you can kind of find it is with experience. And what I might not be able to get to work for some reason, you just boom, 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 and it really works together. It's a matter of degree and measure and taste. So, and again, once you realize that, you're thinking of a bigger picture, so you're not like, oh my gosh, I'm mixing all this paint just to throw out. No, it's not to throw out, man. It's for the experience you're having mixing it. And like I said, beauty's for its own sake. How are we doing? So we've got about 15 more minutes. If you've got any questions, I don't think I'm going to be getting to putting anything on here. I'll probably do that off camera later this afternoon, just a light lay-in or something. And we'll see tomorrow afternoon. Maybe I'll begin in earnest, kind of laying it in. We'll see how that goes there. But I'm going to play on the palette in another few minutes. If you got any questions or comments, go ahead and send that in. They take just a second to get to me. There's a bit of a delay between us, and we'll address those before we leave. So back to the glass. Back to the glass. And then if you guys are professional photographers stroll along this, i.e. Cliff Bays, if you know how to easily fix this reflection on the glass and stuff, let me know. Let me know. I'd be willing to pay for that information because I have been struggling. Been struggling. Probably more powerful lights with more diffusion that I just can't quite afford yet. But if there's another solution, let me know. I'm working on other lights. So, oh, and then our green. So what's our green grass going to be? What, oh, what will our green grass be? Well, what if we just straight up take this green and let's just gray it down. I think I already did this last time, and that didn't nearly do enough. We had to come over to the black. And why black instead of umber? Well, what umber is going to do is it's going to keep it warm and gray it, right? Where the black is going to gray it, but it's going to take it cooler or keep it on the cool side, lean it down towards the cool side. We want that cool ambient light of the setting sun, right? Because the grass isn't getting the light from the sunset, it's getting the light from the sky. And that's why that's going to be cooler. But again, it's going to have to sit in with that. So I'm not too unhappy with that value. It still looks a little bit light. So let's drop that value down again. Oh, you know what? I should well, let's mix this. And then before you go, Susan, I'll actually open up and take a look at your painting. So does that look like tree and grass? And is it going to appear right a dark against that? So we're in the ballpark there. We're in the ballpark there. And then how would this how far? Yeah, we can see this. How far could you take this back in space, and how would you take that green grass back in space? Well, if we decided that was infinity, what if we add some infinity to it? And then the more infinity we add, the further in space we go. And that's how we would get our grass from near us to far away. It's one way. It's one way, right? And then we can come back and spruce it up or something later, but it's important to know how to walk those distances off. Okay, so I'm going to leave that right there. I'll come back to that because I'm admittedly anxious to see Susan's painting. So let's have a look. Let's have a look. You're the best. You're the best. You've been working your tail off. That is awesome. So let's see. Let's come back here and then give me a minute to try to press the right buttons. And let's see what you got here. Make sure our computer's going to let us do this. Hey, there you are. Isn't it amazing? Another 2.5 hours. Towards blue. All right. So, let me see here. Where's my photographs? Do I have my photographs open? This isn't going to break us. We're going to be able to do this. We're going to be able to do this. So, maybe, maybe. No, maybe about it. It's done. It's done. There we go. Um, no white dogs at first. But we just talked about changing the grayness of this background from kind of a green closer to that was closer to the yellow and moving it further away from the yellow, the reds, and the oranges over towards more of a blue. And then that really separated and got clean color. Now, now again, it's up to you. You probably don't want to leave it cut out like this, right? And so then that's just a matter of influencing going through air and all of that. And then also don't forget to put those cast shadows from the dog's paws where you see them on the ground. And that'll really help kind of sit things down if you're looking for that. Uh, Again, this concept may be a little bit different than that. I don't know. And then actually with just what I showed on the greens, we could still go darker, richer on this to lighter grayer, right? You can do that unless you're dead center neutral in the middle already. You can always go lighter grayer. And if you need to, you can come a little darker, richer, but maybe leave it darker, richer, like from this plate down, and then a little smaller, a slightly lighter grayer, and a little smaller, lighter grayer. lighter. I want near to far on the ground. Yeah, yeah, exactly. 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 I think you got it, kiddo. And then, I know you haven't had time since to play with these colors and everything, and you may not, eh, something you might do, and I laugh because she says she really sees the value of the small color studies now. And in the note you wrote, and that's true because this is like an 18 by 24. So to see if what this background works or not, that's a lot more work, and a lot more paint and a lot more time on an 18 by 24 than it would be, say, on a 6 by 8, right? And that's why once you know kind of what you're looking at and the value of those compositional studies and the color studies, that's why we do that before we get started on those, just to save us time and headache, right? Because even on the little bitty 6 by 8, you can see if that the dogs are coming off of the background or not. And then changing those shadows, it looks like you've already played with the shadows a little bit. Those look better too. They look more green in here, a little greener in there. And I don't know if you've got that or if it looks redder just because of some of the green in there. So fantastic, fantastic. We'll see what's up tomorrow. If there's time in class, we'll talk more about this. But I have a feeling that you have you still know of a lot you could do. So that'll be fun. And just because you know what to do doesn't mean it's going to be easy finding that. Just be clear on that. As you get familiar, it gets easier and easier. But don't think, oh yeah, I know where this is on the. And then you run in there and you're like, oh my God, it took me 45 minutes to find that color. Because it's a feeling. It's a feeling, and it's a subtle thing. What does Tom and I say? I think Tom and I say it ain't so easy. It ain't so easy. All right. So I hope that helps out a little bit, but it looks great. Looks like Susan's happy. Excellent. All right, my friends. I'm going to cut it just a few minutes short today. I'm going to get back and get some work done. I'll be back tonight at 8:30. If you don't know already, my name is Jason Meyer of Meyer Studio, and the month of December, we're going crazy, going live 3 times a day, morning student feedback in the morning, and that's where this came from that we were just talking about. In the afternoon, I'll welcome you to my studio, and we'll do whatever I'm working on, and I'll explain what I'm doing and how I'm thinking about it. Not necessarily like I might teach it 1, 2, 3. And so hopefully you get a sense of the flow that I work in a little more. And then in the evenings at 8 o'clock, we're going to look at a master painting, maybe a few of them, so that we talk about what we can do. You look at how I'm working and trying to get it accomplished, and then we see how the best people, the best painters, the masters, the master paintings and art, um, what they did and how theirs might look a little bit different. And that'll give us a clue how to push ours forward. So anyway, I'm having fun. I hope you are too. Please like and subscribe, and we'll be back soon. So I'll see you guys tonight. See you guys tonight. Again, if I can find the right buttons to push. Where am I supposed to be going? Here we are.